I didn't wait to ask for permission. I gave myself permission. And I will say that my family has been so supportive, but I think that my family kind of viewed this as mommy has a hobby. And maybe it started off that way, but it's grown into mommy has a career.
At what age are women officially supposed to stop doing new things? Because apparently nobody told my guest today. At 55, Trish Appello went back to school to learn film producing and ended up creating a comedy series called the EffYou 50s. It's about four women who decide that the rules about midlife simply don't apply to them anymore. Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about reinvention and storytelling and what can happen when women finally decide it's my turn now. So, Trish, thank you so much for being with me. I'm so glad you're here today.
Oh, so happy to be here, Yvonne.
So let's start at the beginning. You're 55 and you decide it's finally your turn and you enrolled in film school, right?
Something like that. It was 55. I give myself a Real Housewife tag along on my birthday. Every birthday on Facebook, I'm like, so 55 was, I can thrive at 55. And I started volunteering at a local film festival.
Oh,
And
cool.
from the local film festival, I honestly was doing a director's panel. You're an actress, so you would understand this. And I felt if I read in the character with the actors who were, uh, basically auditioning for a director's panel, that I would be helping them. And midway through, one of the directors stopped and he said, "You." And I was like, "Me? I'm going to get fired from my volunteer job?" He
Oh
said,
no.
You're good and I want you to know it."
Huh?
And I'm like, okay, what am I waiting for? Long story short, I should have always been in this business somewhere in front, behind the camera, in the business of the biz.
Uh-huh.
But at that time, I had a friend who was doing background work. I asked him how he got involved. I lived 45 minutes out of New York City as well on Long Island. So it was an easy commute to be background on a lot of those New York based TV shows. Law and Order, I was on, SVU, Billions, Mrs. Maisel, the first episode.
Cool.
And I had a recurring background role on Orange is the New Black, season 6, 10 episodes. I played a inmate in Cell Block D.
Come on, that's awesome.
It was really awesome. It was, and I,
So wait a minute. Okay, so hang on, because now I'm all confused. I didn't know any of this part. When did this happen when you were 55 or how old were
about
you?
55. Yeah, it was about,
Okay, and so then you just started doing background work
I was doing
because of
background
that
work.
comment. It kind of gave you like a little bit of like, oh, maybe I
Well,
can do this.
if I'm gonna give myself a tagline, I might as well lean into it, right?
Ah, yeah, that's awesome. And then
So
somehow you end up creating a TV series in your own home with your kids and your community involved. What?
yes, yes, yes.
How did
Well,
this actually
all
happen?
right, all right. After doing a lot of the background, and I also got an agent. I got an agent,
Wow.
and I was booking some commercials. Then COVID happened.
Mm.
So during COVID, I was trying to do some acting classes on Zoom, and there was just something that just didn't connect with me. And
Misery. No, acting classes on Zoom. No, thank you.
it
Yeah.
was like I was trying to do scenes and I felt like the entire Brady Bunch boxes were looking at me and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't do this. For some it works well. Just for me it didn't.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized I was a former PTA president, former booster president. I said, maybe I'm a producer. Because I was working as well as working on the sets, the big streamers. I was also doing a lot of work on local indie films, real low budget. We call it guerrilla filmmaking, where you're driving the cast. I was the crafty. I was like ironing the clothes. I loved every minute of it. Loved
Yeah.
every minute of it. So I was getting some producing credits there. And I said, let me lean into that. And I immediately Googled producing classes online, and UCLA extension popped up, and they had an independent film producing certificate program that ran for 2 years. And that's what I did. I enrolled and I literally walked the stage at UCLA LA campus with my certificate in hand when I graduated at 62 years old,
So it was all an online program?
all online.
And then you went there and got there in person and walked. Awesome. That is so
I know,
cool.
isn't that fabulous?
That
Yeah.
is so cool. So Trish, what did you do? What were you doing with your life before all this? Like,
I had, I would say jobs. I didn't have a career. I always wanted to be in the biz, like I said, but graduating high school in 79, going into the workforce in the 80s, my advice from my parents, get a good job with good benefits.
yeah. Yeah.
This business didn't feel attainable in front of the camera or behind the camera to me.
Did you
But
think about it? Was it
oh, I
something
don't
that
know. I did. I enrolled.
Ah.
I enrolled in the New York Academy of Dramatic Arts. They called me in for audition, and I got scared and didn't go. Oh, I got an audition? Like, what was I thinking? Yeah, you got to audition.
Yeah.
In community college, I was going to major in acting, but that voice of get a good job with good benefits was at the forefront. So that's what I did. I got a good job with benefits. And then as I was hitting 50 and that director said, you're good and I want you to know it. I then, was appearing on all of, like, the local filmings in Queens and New York City. Also, I enrolled in UCB, Upright Citizens
Oh,
Brigade.
upright. So you were doing improv? You
I was
went through
doing
their improv
improv.
program?
I was in the improv program. My agent at the time suggested that I do that.
Yeah.
So I did. And I was, like the mom, but who cares? I'm here, I'm learning, I'm having fun. Still friends with some of my friends from the group. Uh, then again, COVID. So with COVID, what happened with COVID is I also split my time between New York and Florida. And in Florida, I continued my improv work with a local improv studio, and COVID happened, and we switched over. The director switched over and said, we're going to do comedic storytelling. And that was the first draft, so to speak, of me telling the story of the EffYou 50s. So I told it in a comedic story that we read on Zoom to our fellow classmates and their families. Then I enrolled in UCLA. One of the classes I had to take was creating a series, which I then created the EffYou 50s as a 60-minute dramedy, which I had to present to my professor. I got an A. First time I was a straight A student. Go figure. In my 50s. Yeah. And then I said, I gotta, as you know, filmmaking, they say, especially in the independent world, just do it. And I'm like, what do you mean just do it? Just do it. Pick up a camera and do it. So I hired a crew, a cast, my friends were dropping off lasagnas and baked ziti's. That's how we got a lot of people to work on the set, was like the Italian moms from Long Island are going to be cooking. And you know how
Don't mess with the Italian moms from Long Island. That's
like,
what I get.
but you know how people have how the food is so important on sets.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it was like, oh, really? Then
Craft services extraordinaire
yeah,
right there.
craft
That's
services. It was a
yeah.
spread and a half. My sisters made her turkey chili that they're still talking about today. And I created a boutique in my den. I knew how to film in my house because working on these independent films in the Long Island, Nassau County um, film community, we filmed a lot at my house. So I knew how to fake, so to speak. So I
Oh.
knew too, that experience gave me the confidence I can turn my den into a boutique. And it was first, it was now a docu-series meets parody. And it started with me hearing about a newscaster saying that a certain person who was running for president at the time, who a female who was 51, that she was past her prime. And
Mhm.
so I leaned into that and said, "Oh my gosh, it's on the news." And I'm in late 50s, so I'm way past my prime. I guess it's time for me to go shopping for my house coat. For the audience, if they don't know what a house coat is, it was like a duster that my grandmother wore for sure, my older aunts wore for sure, and it wasn't the pajamas, but it was a something you can wear in the house that was light, had buttons up. They used to have the pockets for the tissues and their keys, and perhaps a couple the hard candies that they take and they here you go, don't tell your mom. And so that's what it was about. It was that us going for our go shopping for our house coats because we were past our prime. And in the house code house, which I called it, was other women talking about being replaced by technology, being replaced by younger, in the corporate world, being replaced by younger talent. In directing, it was being replaced by like how females, especially, were not being tapped to direct in any films, or any TV shows. So it was like, why are we listening to, the news or this one or that one? Why are we not pushing back on this? So it really was the theme, but me doing that, it was a 20-minute more of a standalone. Me doing a series, I knew that since I did that, so I'm glad I did that standalone proof of concept, but I made it more, I made it into a four woman format series that works so well. Comedic series, 30 minutes, single cam that works so well. And we're positioning as that
Hang on real quick. Single cam is single camera. Is that
single
right?
camera. Yes,
Okay,
single
cool. I
camera.
just, for anybody listening, just want to make
Right.
sure. Yeah, yeah, cool. So single camera. So did you shoot like a short film when you talk about doing it as a one-off 20
Yes.
minute thing? It was like
Yes.
a little short film
Yes. 20
and
minutes.
that
Yeah.
became a proof of concept to develop into something bigger
Uh,
or
yes, I was going to use that to pitch for the series, but I realized like I had this notion like I'm going to go and I'm going to pitch a different type of series that is part documentary, part parody. And realizing how long this takes and how you getting into those rooms to even have a conversation,
right.
sometimes a simple format is much better to lead with. And I realized that. And it was wonderful, and I'm glad I did it. And I had a panel of female friends. One, it was a doctor of nurse practitioning who got her doctorate in her 60s. She got her nurse practitioning certificate in her 50s. So it was every decade was a not certificate, her degree. Every decade was a degree for her. My other friend got her mental health, her master's in mental health therapy, 48. And my other friend was a family lawyer who started her practice late 30s. So we all were kind of living our
Yeah.
lives that were mirroring what we were speaking about. And it was, I love it. I'm glad I did it, but it's not a series. It's a standalone. And you figure that out as you go along.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the series, and the series is that rich, chaotic space of women hitting 50, right before 50 or 50 plus, mostly menopausal ages, because we have, we have peri-menopause and then post. So menopause is like 15 years, and it may be even longer. And
Right.
that, and it's post HBO Girls, but pre Golden Girls. And if you think about that age, so much is happening in that age, that decade of like late 40s to late 50s. Most likely you're becoming an empty nester, parenting your parents. Um, what's going on now that you're reconnecting with your spouse or your mate after the kids have gone. The kids are now on their own. They don't need you as much. Um, you have uh, aging, just aging in America. You're going through hormonal changes. There's so many changes going within you and right outside you that it's a very, very interesting time. It was in my life, it still is. And I think it resonates with a lot of women. And because I've talked to a lot of women about this concept, and they're like, 100%. You got it. I this, I that. Oh my gosh. When my kids, empty nesting, what that meant to me. All of a sudden I was the mom. I was 24/7. And then it was, where'd everybody go? What do I do now? So again, it's my life imitating art and art imitating my life. They're like parallel to each other. So I wrote a script with my team, Jen Kober, Sarah Evans, no, Sarah Turpin, Sam Evans. Um, and now it is at the Script Doctor to format it in a streaming, as you know, as an actress, there are certain beats you have to hit in television shows, where especially when there was commercials involved, certain beats. So you have to format it into acts. So it's at the Script
Oh,
Doctor.
see, you've gone way beyond my know-how. Like I'm a
Whoa.
theater actress, first of
Oh,
all,
okay.
but I do know, as somebody who watches shows with a storytelling, with my mind towards the storytelling. Yeah, absolutely. But you don't think about that there's structures built in going into commercials and different things like that.
Right,
That is fascinating. I'm going to be watching for that from now on.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Lex Powell is my Script Doctor, and they have the script, and we are going to meet on Monday and hopefully finalize that. I've done a pitch deck. I am now working on a series Bible, and I'm working with a phenomenal coach, and I highly recommend my coach, Joyce, Miss Han. I don't want to mispronounce her name. Joyce is phenomenal because Joyce doesn't let me cut. Joyce says, nope, you got to finish the script. Okay, once you finish the script, you go to the deck. Once you finish the deck, you go to the series Bible. But what? No, no cutting. And she's right. She's right, because every step has led me to the next step, and I've gotten stronger and smarter and learned so much by taking on a step, completing the step, and then moving on to the next step.
Wow. Do you ever, I'm just blown away. Are there ever moments where you think, I can't actually believe what I've done so far?
Yes, there were a lot of moments, especially before I was filming my proof of concept. Like I was literally driving on the Long Island Expressway in a U-Haul, picking up equipment in Long Island City at like all the lighting, the camera, the lens place. And then driving back and then, helping to set up, housing people. Before that, I would walk, and it was always like 9 o'clock. I'd walk to get like a pretzel or something. Well, from my bedroom to my kitchen, and I'd stop mm, frozen and say, who do I think I am? I can't, who do I think I am? You know, that doubt that
All too
we
well.
were raised to be second. I'm not mad at that. That's just the message I got from society. It wasn't the message I necessarily got from my mother, who I'm one of 7 children, 5 girls. My mother was ahead of her time, saying to her daughters, she wanted us all to go to school, number one. Number two, I want you to get careers and jobs. Not only that has good benefits, but that you can support yourself.
Mm.
So here's a woman who was born in the 20s who was telling that to us in the 70s.
Yeah, that comes from lived experience,
Yeah.
right?
She was
Yeah.
behind, she was ahead of her time. And um so yeah, I would stop dead in my tracks in the middle of my living room and say, who the hell do I think I am? And then the doubt was so loud, but my confidence was louder. You got to do it. Because you're hitting 50, you get, again, I'm going to tell you this story. This is a fabulous story. The nurse practitioner I told you about who was on my panel for the, she has this like Long Island, like Laverne DeFazio voice. I love you, Peggy, if you're listening to this, but I would say, Peg, something's going on inside me. Like I was hitting 50 and I was like, something's going on. I feel like I can say no. I feel like I'm shedding my people pleasing. What's it? And she said, well, technically, scientifically, you are, your estrogen is depleting because you're hitting menopause and your testosterone is becoming more prominent in your body. And I said, this is what it feels like to be a guy. This is effing great. And I said the full word in my, like, in my paper gown as I was in her examining room.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You know, one of the things you and I had a conversation before we set up the actual interview, and one of the things that we talked about that wanted to make sure we got back to is the idea of I mean, this is big what you're doing. This is a big project, and we talked about the idea of starting before you feel ready. Like that whole idea of who am I to do this? Was there a moment when you realized that you like what was the moment where it was just like I'm going to do this?
There was a lot of different moments that got me to that place. But I will say, studying the Duplass, Mark Duplass, do you know of him? He's an indie film. He's big in indie filmmaking. He was on the morning show. He was acting. But watching his videos as I was in UCLA Extension, they would say, watch Mark's video and comment on this. He would say over and over and like talk, would be a video of him talking at South by Southwest. Just do it. Blah, blah, blah. Just do it. I don't want to hear the buts. Just do it. Make it happen. And that never left me.
Yeah, and I'm also as we're talking today and I'm hearing like the trajectory of what happened. I'm going to work backwards here. You showed up, you signed up for a film festival thing and you were there and you were helping be a reader and somebody acknowledged you and said, "I see you." Right?
Mhm.
So there you are. You feel seen and that gives you a little bit of like, "Oh, okay, let's do some background work." Then you're on sets and you're seeing how it is to be on a set, right? And then you're doing independent film, helping out in production, and you're seeing how independent film functions, which is, I
Exactly.
imagine, completely different than working on Orange is the New Black.
100%.
And so then you're seeing how the little guys do it, right? And how you do it scrappy and lean, right?
Oh, I love that Scrappy.
And
Oh, I
and
can't get enough of the Scrappy.
and I'm hearing this development that prepped you. And then not only that, but to take classes, which I think gives you a little bit of confidence too, because you've got somebody who is saying, these are ways to do it. This is how to do it. And so then you learn that stuff. And I'm just like so blown away by the trajectory and the speed with which you have moved into doing what you're doing. So I just want to say kudos.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And also I have to shout this out. The sets that I worked on were a filmmaker, Debbie Markowitz, who was the film commissioner. So kudos to Debbie because she kind of gave me my first gig because I told her I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm like, I'll do anything. You need me to sweep, I'll sweep. You need me to do this, drive, I'll drive. You need me to make stuff, I'll go shopping. Whatever you need me to do, no job was too small. That's number one. No job is too small because that's where you learn.
Yeah.
And I started off as a production assistant. And because of my work, I then got producer credits. And Debbie also started her film career later in life and is a female filmmaker. From volunteering at the film festival, I then was asked to sit on the board of the Long Island Film and Television Foundation. I was the secretary, and I also was the coordinator for the film festival. I was a liaison between the filmmakers. I conducted about I get hundreds and hundreds of Q&As, and that's when I realized where I wanted to be and lean into more of the independent, because hearing these filmmakers talk about you could talk about making their films. You could feel their blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm like, I found my peeps. I
Mm.
just can't get enough of their stories. I can't support them enough because independent film is for the listeners, the viewers, is films that are made outside of the studio system. Independent TV now is coming into play as well. And I would love to be in that space.
Well, you are on your way. I'm also hearing too that, you invested in yourself. You put yourself in that UCLA program. That was an investment.
Mhm.
And I mean, kudos for that. Like, you've given yourself permission over and over to expand.
Right. And I didn't wait to ask for permission. I gave myself permission. And I will say that my family has been so supportive, but I think that my family kind of viewed this as mommy has a hobby. And maybe it started off that way, but it's grown into mommy has a career.
Yeah.
Mommy is writing a script. Mommy is going to be pitching this to production companies. Mommy's going to be talking to networks and streamers. Um, so mommy has a career now. Mommy had a hobby, but now it's a career.
You go, mommy.
I
You
know.
go.
And part of my log line is four friends flip the script on four friends middle age flip the script on turning 50 and decide to live the F out of their next chapter. And underneath that, I have her age is a superpower. And I purposely just left that line by itself because even though the show is about women of a certain age, her age is a super. Why I'm doing this show purposely is for my daughter who's in her mid 20s, because I want her to find her voice earlier. And also
Yes.
for my son, so that he can pave a path of equality to the women that are in his life.
Exactly what I was just going to mention is like what I'm doing in my life these days is trying to show an example to my kids of how they can live their life. Am I making the most money? No. But am I doing what I love? Abso-freaking-lutely, you
Yeah.
know? And I want my kids to know that they can get scrappy, that they can get creative, that when they come up against it, they can go around or over
100%.
the obstacles. And that's what you're doing. You're being such an amazing example for your kids, for anybody who is watching you do what you're doing. So
Right.
thank you. Yes.
I appreciate that. I did when I was talking with my coach, Joyce. She's like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because I want my kids to think I'm cool." And she's like, "I thought that was the best answer." I'm like, "But it was true." And couple of things I just want to mention. The proof of concept was a primarily female cast and crew. My director was a female, in 61 years young. My DP, director, cinematographer, my first AD, second camera was a female. The cast was primarily female. My mom's the mom squad that came and helped out with the craft services. I think if of the 50 people of cast and crew, 36 were female. And I did that purposely. And also the ages ran from 26 to 62. I was 62 at the time when I did that. And
Love the intergenerational thing happening there.
100%
Huge.
huge. Let's start not let's stop that labeling of that generation is this and this generation is that. And instead of that, let's learn from each other. Because I learn from my daughter and my nieces daily. And I have learned some of my thinking is not as respectful as I once thought. And I'm okay with being taught a lesson, even now, because once there's a plaque I have and it says, I'm still learning, and it's from Michelangelo. I saw it in Ireland. I, I was in Trinity College, the bookstore at Trinity College, and I saw that and I said, I'm still learning. So that's something that I keep in the back of my head. I'm still learning. And this show is about, it's not just about four women, it's also their relationships with their daughters and their relationship with their sons, as well as, you know, when we think moms, when empty nesting, we think, oh gosh, my husband went through something when it was empty nest. So let's
Absolutely.
show what that looks like.
Yeah.
The vulnerability of a male in their 50s and what they're going through. And a lot of great themes. We have one episode where one of the gals gets lip injection, and we really want to shine a light on what the messaging from the beauty industry is. Turn back the clock, erase the wrinkles, stop the aging.
It's relentless.
It's
Oh my
relentless. And it's,
gosh.
you know what I say? Aging is a gift, and not everyone receives that gift. And I want to push back on that. And I want to say, we need to stop doing this because it's it's marketing. And we have heard this message all our lives.
Some people are making big money off that message. That's
Yeah.
what that is. And
Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh, don't get me started.
I know, but here's the thing. I'm not going to flip a switch and the messaging is so ingrained in me that I will doll myself up, especially if I'm going out to,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah. I'm just gonna say right now, I am still ageist. I'm not it's not it's why I do the podcast, because I learn, like you said, I'm still learning. I learn from my guests all the time. I learn this keeps me in the conversation and reminds me, oh, that thing that you might think is true isn't necessarily true. Look at here's proof in front of you of Trish Appello going out, kicking ass, taking names right now. And
I do,
that's what's possible.
right. I do say badassery in my pitch deck.
It's one of my favorite
Yeah,
words.
it's such a
Yes,
great word, and badassery.
yes.
But let's stop shaming. Let's stop shaming women who don't dye their hair. Let's stop shaming women who do dye their hair. Let's let women be themselves. Let's stop shaming women who decide not to have children.
Amen.
Let's stop shaming, stop judging. Think about yourself. These are women have we've had a lot of like body, looks, children, marriage. We had a lot of checkpoints that we had to check off to be considered a whatever, what would you say, a successful woman? Oh, if you had kids, if you got married, if you were thin, you were this, that, okay, then, and like, why are we listening to someone who's going to look at us externally and judge us? Why is that messaging so important? Let's stop making that messaging so important to us.
Yeah. You also mentioned when we spoke earlier that you feel like older women are having a bit of a cultural moment right now, and I thoroughly
100%.
agree. Why do you think it is that audiences might be craving stories about women that are in a later stage in life now?
Well, like I think I mentioned, like we see Jamie Lee Curtis, Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, Kathy Bates, number one show. Now,
Yeah.
these are actresses that you and I grew up with, and we've seen the career. Demi Moore, I've said I saw her first career. I love seeing her second career. She's having the best career. She's having the best time in her second career. Um, I think that there is a comfort that people are receiving from seeing women that they are familiar with who are aging, and that they are comforted by seeing them on their screens. That we're living in times that are very chaotic. So, what we do turn to our screens to help us escape the chaos, and seeing women that we have known kind of all our life, now in their 50s and 60s and 70s, knocking it out of the park, we find comfort there. I do. And I say that these women would not have careers that they are having 30 years ago in Hollywood. And look at,
Absolutely not. Yeah. It's so hopeful to me to see that trend. And honestly, when I see something where I can see that it's a like Grace and Frankie, Frankie and Grace, whatever, with that show, or any number of other shows that I'm seeing where you've got women in the lead, or it's a woman-centered story with older women, Jamie Lee Curtis and Michelle Yeoh, and oh gosh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
right.
To see that kind of thing, man, I'm going to go put my money down. I am going to make sure that I stream that. I am going to make sure that I get behind it as somebody watching it, because I want the powers that be to see that here's at least one more person who is interested in seeing those kinds of stories, you know?
And we see Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
Grace and Frankie was the number one rated show. 6 years it ran, original programming from Netflix. It was one of their best shows that ran on for 6 years on Netflix. You look at an actress like Jane Fonda. We've seen her. We were there when Jane, was on Golden Pond, and just
Barbarella,
yeah, yeah.
right?
She had us in the 80s. She got us in the 80s, and we stayed with her into the 20 teens,
Yeah.
because I don't want to use the word reliable or comfort, because that's really not the word. She's a proven entertainer,
Yeah.
and her work is stellar. Her voice is stellar. And I want to tune in to anything she's doing. And that's what I feel Jamie Lee Curtis, that Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates in Misery, one of the unbelievable roles ever. Oh, Kathy Bates is doing something. She hooked us in the 80s and the 90s. And when we saw her again in the 2012s and 2015s and 2020s, we want to be there with her,
Yeah.
because we know she is bringing her A game every single time that she's on the screen. And
Yeah.
there's something about us being able to step away from the chaos and see, especially a woman of a certain age, bring her A game every single week, that I find, lack of a better word, entertainment, enjoyable, comfort. Thank you. And that's what and Hollywood is writing these roles for them. They're not writing the role of just the nana sitting, looking out the window. They're writing roles. They're writing, I think Emma Thompson is playing a superhero. I read that. You have and also look at what's going on Shrinking. You have
Yeah.
Wendy
Wendy
Malick.
Malick, man. Yeah.
And they're having a love affair with Harrison Ford. Here are people in their maybe late 70s, 80s who are having romance, and it looks wonderful. And it looks real, it looks attainable, it looks
Yeah. And
it's
Diane
what
Keaton, can we just talk about
oh my
Diane
gosh.
Keaton? Oh my gosh.
That was oh gosh. I mean, we've
Yeah.
lost a couple this
Yeah.
year. I mean, Maureen, the Catherine
Oh, Catherine O'Hare.
O'Hara. Oh,
Yeah.
that was
Another example of stuff. I mean, she's always been phenomenal, but wow, just the depth of work. I mean, and Jamie Lee Curtis, I think Jamie Lee Curtis has done so much better work in her older
oh,
years
I agree
in the
with you.
past decade. Knives Out,
Right.
unbelievable, just like she's incredible. Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
I want to know what surprised you most about yourself in going through this process.
That after everything I'd done in the sense of like did the commercials, was background, went to UCLA, did my proof of concept. I thought after my proof of concept I was done, and I'm like, I'm not done. My inner voice was like, nope, you're not done yet. And I was like, I'm not done. And not being done is kind of everything because you don't know what's coming up and it's exciting. And we only have ourselves. I say this to many people as humans, our um number one job is to take care of our health, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, and our creative health. So I need this for my creative health. I need to be here and I'm enjoying every moment of it. And I realize that the collaboration, the creative collaboration, especially on like an independent level, is is my everything. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And I wish I could bottle it and sell it because that's how wonderful it is.
I wish you could too. I wish you could too. But actually, I think you've given a little gift of it away today. So
Oh, I
thank
hope
thank you
so.
for this conversation. It's a perfect place to wrap it up on. How can people keep in touch with you? Know what's going on next for you?
Right now, my Instagram, which is, I'll spell it out. Here, I'll just put here, because I have menopause brain and forget words and nouns. Menopause brain is a thing. I tattooed it on my wrist. It's called the FU 50s.
I
And
love
this way I
that
don't
you did
forget.
that.
Right. So it's THEEFFYOU50S on Instagram. And what we're doing, the messaging on Instagram is a pro woman, pro aging message, but it's not anti male, and the two can exist at the same time.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yes. Yes. I'm just going to say yes again.
And
Yes.
Facebook, the same. It's THEEFFYOU50S, the FU 50s.
The FU
And
50s.
I didn't want to go like too FU, so I kind of hid the spelling somewhere because I do have that like non-cursing thing from like growing up in the 60s and 70s. Like
Uh-huh.
we didn't say the F word. We just didn't. It was like we got punished. We got a mouthwash out with soap. It's like we even came close to saying it. So I kind of went purposely spelt it that way.
I
But
love it.
it's women who are pushing back on the invisible women syndrome that I'm sure you know of. And that is basically the gist of the series. Women deciding for themselves, giving themselves permission not to be invisible.
I love it. And I'm so thrilled that we crossed paths and that you got to come here and spend time with us today. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
I loved seeing your podcast and I said this is a great match. And that's another thing is reach out and tell people what you do and tell people what you're looking for. Ask.
Yeah.
And there's different, when you put yourself in the game, there's so many different prizes that come your way. Fabulous prizes. I mean, I think I told you this. I was looking for a writing coach because I never wrote a script before. And I landed on the website of Roger S.H. Schulman, who is the Oscar nominated co-screenwriter for Shrek.
And he was your writing coach.
He was my writing coach, and I'm still in touch with him. I email him and I say, "Hey, favorite student here."
I love it. And again, that's you investing in yourself, right?
Yeah,
Not, and so you've invested in yourself with the money to do the programs that you've done, to get the coaching, and your time and energy.
yeah,
I'm just pointing that out because for anybody listening, there's a lot of different ways that you can invest in yourself. So if one avenue is cut off to you, get creative and go the other way. If
100%.
it's money holding you back, go with your time and energy. If you don't have enough time, use a little bit of your money.
Because of the independent world, which I love and worked in, there's times when there's not money, and I'd say, "Don't worry about it. I'll lend you my time because what I got out of it was so much more valuable than money. I was learning the business, I was learning a craft, I was learning the ins and outs of working on a set. I was learning set etiquette because there is a set etiquette. So it was priceless you couldn't put a dollar amount on what I learned and what I'm still learning.
Love it. Trish, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. So happy to be here.
For you listening, watching, let's come back to the question that I asked at the beginning of the episode. At what age are women officially supposed to be done starting new things?
Never.
Never. After hearing Trisha's story, I think we all know the answer to that. And stories like hers remind me that blooming does not follow a schedule. Sometimes the most surprising ideas show up later in life. And the only thing left to do is follow your curiosity and see what happens. So until next time, my friend, keep blooming like you mean it.